During the lockdown, I've grown to love making my own homemade veggie pizza from scratch. It is super simple and anyone can make one, so today I'm going to show you how. You're going to start off by pouring 1.5 cups of warm water into a bowl. You want to make sure this water is warm and not hot so that the yeast can activate. Then add about 1.5 tablespoons of yeast, followed by 1 tablespoon of sugar. Sugar is important for the fungus to start the fermentation process of forming carbon dioxide and ethanol. I am using a non-genetically modified strain of yeast. Keep in mind this recipe is for 2 pizzas, so you can have the recipe for only 1 pizza. You're going to mix it and let it rest for about 5 minutes. You want to start to see it foam up so that the dough later on can rise. So after the yeast has foamed up, you're going to now add 3 cups of white all-purpose flour. I am using an unbleached flour without any additives or addictive chemicals such as benzoyl peroxide. Remember to add some salt to taste. Mix it all until it's well incorporated and begins to form a dough. After the dough ball kind of looks like this, let it rest for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, prepare your toppings, your cheese, sauce, or any veggies you may like. This recipe is completely customizable. For example, for this vegetarian pizza, feel free to add tomatoes, olives, onions, spinach, or anything you may like. So, as you can see, the dough has nearly doubled in size, so we're ready to build our pizzas. Just a reminder, this recipe is for 2 pizzas. Here we have hand-grated cheese. I do advise against using pre-shredded cheese as the cheese won't melt as well. I'm using these 3 block cheeses. I have mozzarella, I have old white cheddar, and I also have this block of typical yellow cheddar. But you can use whatever combination or individual cheese you may like. For the sauce, I used a couple spoonfuls of crushed tomatoes. If you don't have any crushed tomatoes, you can use strained tomatoes. Depending on how much sauce you like on your pizza, you can play around with the quantity. I also added some seasonings such as black pepper, a little bit of Mrs. Dash, some dried oregano and basil, and some salt to taste. The sauce itself is unsalted, so make sure to add as much salt or seasoning as you like. I like to make my own pizza because I know exactly what ingredients I'm using. I know there are no preservatives, such as nitrates or nitrites. There is no toxic food colorings, and if you like to eat healthy, you should definitely add this vegetarian pizza recipe into your cooking book. So for the toppings, I will be using broccoli. For 1 pizza, I chopped the broccoli into larger pieces, and for the other, I'm going to be using this broccoli dust instead of just throwing it out. I'm also going to use mushrooms. For 1 pizza, I chopped them into larger pieces, and for the other, I'm going to use this finely chopped mushrooms. I'm also going to use some roughly chopped red bell peppers. And for the other pizza, some finely chopped red bell peppers. Preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we're going to prepare our pizza dough. I'm going to use a neutral oil to lather up the baking sheet so that the dough does not stick to it. I'm also going to lather up my hands with the oil so that the dough doesn't stick to my hands. And since this dough recipe is for 2 pizzas, I'm going to split my dough into 2 parts. 1 pizza will have a little less dough and will be more thin crust, kind of like a thin crust pizza. And the other will have more dough and will have a much thicker crust. So just take your dough ball, flatten it out using your hands. You may use a rolling pin or any other method that you like. This is just how I like to do it. Once your pizza dough is ready to go, you can start adding your sauce, your cheese, and your toppings. This pizza has the thicker crust, so I will put the roughly chopped toppings on this one. Spread the sauce out evenly on the pizza. You can use as much or as little as you prefer. After you add your sauce, you can start adding your cheese. Evenly sprinkle the cheese onto the pizza. Use as much or as little as you like. After your cheese and your sauce is on the pizza, you can start adding the toppings of your choice. I'm going to evenly distribute the broccoli, mushrooms, and the red bell peppers onto my pizza. So once you're done, you can set it aside and repeat with your next pizza. Once both of them are ready, put them in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 18 to 20 minutes. Keep an eye on them so that they don't burn, and you're done. The whole process from start to finish takes up to 1 hour. These 2 pizzas will be enough to feed a hungry family of around 4 people. You can use a pizza cutter, scissors, or a knife, cut your pizza into slices, plate it up, and you have made yourself a super simple, super delicious, homemade vegetarian pizza. So thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments or questions you have below, and don't forget to subscribe.